Yes, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jack Farmer, and this is the Evolution of Movies show, and they are the Washington and Reynolds of the podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, it's James, Chippy, and Andy Rossi. Guys, how you doing? Andy, let's start with you.
Well, yeah, I love that. You went with Reynolds and Washington. Their character names on this one, Weston and Frost. Such a great tag team of names.
Yeah. Would you
Tobin Frost, man.
James, what name was better, Weston or Frost?
Oh, it's got to be Tobin Frost, my man.
Yeah.
All right, okay. Yeah,
I have a question about that, about Tobin Frost down the line.
Is it
obviously
Deacon's...
that's half the movie, but
Deacon Frost, his uncle.
His uncle from another mother.
It would explain why he doesn't seem to age over the years. But this is the Evolution of Movies show, and we call it the Evolution of Movies because we talk about movies, but we go from one year to the next each time. So we started at 1990, then 91, 92. Now we're all the way to 2012, and that means next week we're doing 2013. But for now, it's 2012. Let me take you back to a time when movies were all about pairing up big stars together with movies like The Avengers, Rock of Ages, and of course, That's My Boy, starring Adam Sandler and Andy Samberg. But we aren't talking about any of those. We're talking about Safe House, a movie IMDb breaks down as a young CIA agent is tasked with looking after a fugitive in a safe house, but when the safe house is attacked, he finds himself on the run with his charge. This got a 53% on Rotten Tomatoes, both the highest and lowest Rotten Tomatoes score on one of our movies so far, because this is the first time I've ever shown what the Rotten Tomatoes score is. Ebert didn't rank it, so I'm just going to start going to Rotten Tomatoes. It's easier that way. Andy, had you seen Safe House before this, and what did you think going into it?
I can't believe I've never seen Safe House before. Yeah. Two hunks like Denzel and Ryan Reynolds in a movie together. But no, I hadn't seen it, so I was ready to see exactly what it was. I love any Denzel Washington movie, so it was nice to actually be like, oh, I actually haven't seen this one yet.
Yeah, this movie... Same here. I was shocked I hadn't seen it because this sounds exactly like the kind of movie I would go out and see opening weekend. Two big superstars that are in a movie that basically says, here's a flimsy excuse for people to shoot at each other, and they do for 2 hours straight. That's like my favorite kind of movie in the world. So I'm shocked I hadn't seen this, but yeah. I was really excited to see it. James, you picked it. Tell us why.
Yeah, I picked this because we hadn't done a Denzel movie yet, and we got to put a Denzel in here. I mean, how many Brad Pitt movies are we gonna do, Andy?
Hey, that's Jack picking them.
That is true.
I'm just watching, baby.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I picked this because I remember going to the movies to see it, and it was a big deal at the time. And at this point in Denzel's career, he was starting to team up with like these younger up and coming actors. I think he had before this did a movie called Unstoppable with Chris Pine. It's about a runaway train based on a true story. So at this point, he's doing it Ryan Reynolds as he's on the come up, and it's an action film. And this is kind of the beginning of Denzel's kind of second half, kind of the Liam Neeson type of, films he's making. So, yeah, I thought it was a fun movie when I saw it initially. It's Denzel, breaking lots of necks and ankles. And, it's a lot of the hand-to-hand combat in here. I mean, he's old school with it. I don't know if he's had any fighting training in real life, but, I mean, it looks good and it looks real. He looks like he's been fighting his whole life. So.
Denzel, and I don't think his career is over, but really kind of one of the best career arcs you could imagine, in the sense that he came up, he became a massive superstar on his own, did his own thing, then sort of started giving the rub to other people, started playing a bad guy and all that kind of stuff. In a lot of ways, feels like he gave back after he made it, as opposed to some other people who kind of they stay the star the whole time and sort of do their own thing. It felt like he sort of started saying, let me start working, James, to your point, with younger people. I'll play the villain so they can look like the hero in the movie and all this other stuff. He really, I don't think gets enough credit for that.
No, it's a great point. You're right, because someone of his stature, he could easily always kind of play like a very, always completely likable character, but he plays very complex characters a lot now. Like I said, if he's a good guy, he's got a little edge to him, or he can be a bad guy and you see why he's doing what he's doing. And that all started obviously with his Oscar-winning performance in Training Day, right? And we,
Mm-hmm.
everyone remembers that. And it's like, oh, we've never seen Denzel like this. And as you say, give back. He does a lot of directing now. So, I mean, he's really like a full package. And as you said, a great arc to his career in a sense, as
If
we've
Empire
seen.
Records came out the same year as Training Day, I'm going to be really mad at you, Jack. Could have done Training Day. No, Empire
No.
Records.
Hey, Empire Records, I stand by the choice. I just wasn't happy with the results. Okay. The logic checked out. Okay. The pick checked out. Sometimes things don't just pan out right. Speaking of panning out right, thank you for everyone who's watching the show. Thanks for everyone who's left a comment, who's left a 5-star review. If you're listening to the show now, like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's get into the movie. Ryan Reynolds is talking to his lady about asking for a promotion and moving away, talking about the future. Classic way to start a movie where something's about to go wrong. His job is prepping safe houses, and he wants to do field work. Well, guess what, buddy? You're about to get it. Meanwhile, the coolest man to ever live, Denzel Washington, is brokering a deal to sell some info that's going to make some government agencies unhappy. So unhappy, he has to kill a dude in a bathroom, switch clothes with a dude who gets sniped. Denzel disappears into a crowd during a protest before sneaking into an American consulate. This is already just an amazing action-packed opening to the movie. We get a glimpse into the two characters. James, I always like to start with you for this. Tell us about the world that the movie has built for us already and the characters that live within it.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I mean, it starts off with Ryan Reynolds and he's having that conversation with his girlfriend. And yeah, he's basically talking about how he has kind of a lot of people can relate to this. He wants more out of his job, or he wants to like move up in the company, so to speak. He's not happy with his current status. And, he basically says how there's nothing fun. I have a boring existence right now, pretty much. Right. And then we cut to Denzel. It's like, it's about to be amped up. Just wait. Right. Just wait. Give you about 15 minutes and we're going to set you on your hero's journey, so to speak. But yeah, with Denzel, and I don't know if you guys caught it, the guy he was, I guess, broken a deal with is from Game of Thrones. I can't remember Davos, who anyone has seen Game of Thrones loves Davos, but he plays like a more low key position here. But yeah, he gives him a little chip or something, and this is, I guess, the inciting incident, because what's so crazy is how many people they're sending after Denzel. They send a guy that's already in the location, and he comes to try and kill him in the bathroom. That doesn't go well, obviously. And then they've got like snipers ready, and they've got like, I don't want to say, they got like a small militia coming after him. They just cannot get Denzel. He's too crafty. And, and him getting into the consulate, and, he's always one step ahead of the other bad guys. And as we see later on, they talk about how intelligent he is. He's been off the grid for years. And, it's Denzel, as you said, the coolest guy. I mean, the camera, the movement, he's like looking to the side, doing this Denzel thing. He knows how to work the camera, basically.
Has there ever been a person in life that has been cooler than Denzel? Like,
No.
I'm seriously, I mean, who's even close to as cool as, like,
No,
just the coolest guy ever?
I'm so glad you guys mentioned this. Like, I was watching it, like, literally giggling, because any other movie, the guy's running. Like, it kind of reminded me of like that movie Enemy of the State with Will Smith, and he's like on the run, and they're like chasing him down. He's running through the laundromat. He's running through this and that. Where Denzel is just cool the whole time. He's just walking. And I was even saying, I'm like, dude, get a little hop to your step. And then he does that little trick where he shoots the gun at the ground, and he gets those people to start, running. And I'm like, he's so smart and so cool. And yeah, I was thinking the whole time, this guy's just so cool. But one thing we got to mention is beginning Ryan Reynolds doing some boxing, and then we see a quick shirtless scene. I just wanted to make sure we mentioned
Yeah.
that. I like how that got in
Did
there.
you write that down in your notes, Andy?
And one thing I did write in my notes. I love this line. I think it's Davos that says, maybe it's with Davos and Denzel, but he says, "Do I make you nervous?" And he says, "Always." And Denzel says, "Good."
Yeah, he's always one step ahead. He definitely, and that fight scene shows he's not just smart, but he will mess you up too.
Oh,
Like
cracks necks.
he doesn't have a weakness. It's not like he's really smart, but if a brute gets to him, then he's gonna mess him up. No, he's gonna beat you up with his fist. He's gonna shoot you in the face. He's gonna outsmart you. He's gonna beat you in every way imaginable, and then he's gonna coolly walk away, and you're gonna have nothing you can do about it. I was thinking, because he always has the walk and Tom Cruise always has the run.
Yeah.
And I was thinking I could imagine them in a movie together where they're like, quick, we got to get from point A to point B. And it shows Tom Cruise running and running and running. And then it keeps showing Denzel just doing his cool walk. But then they both get there at the same time.
Yes, they got to get that.
Actually, Denzel would probably beat him by just a little bit.
They'd be drinking a latte or something, like with his legs crossed. Like, what took you so long? You know,
I already ordered for you.
Yeah,
and he has like a clean shave too.
Right.
Yeah.
So we learned a little bit more about Tobin. Why did Tobin turn himself in? He was the CIA, one of the CIA's best guys, and then turned his back on the USA. So clearly he's evil. So they send Tobin to the safe house. Tobin and the CIA show up and the CIA starts breaking their orders and turning off all the cameras so they can waterboard him. Doesn't mess up Tobin at all. In fact, he's still on his game. But turns out the safe house isn't very safe at all, especially considered Ryan Reynolds had nothing to do but prepare it for 12 months straight. People break in and they shoot up all the CIA guys. Tobin says, hey, let's get out of here. We get a pretty cool car chase scene and a fight between Denzel and Ryan Reynolds in the car, while we're told that basically no one is coming to save them now that they're out of the safe house. Andy, I want to start with you. I don't want to get political. I don't want to get too in the weeds here with news, but in real life, is there ever like an enemy of the state that is as cool as Tobin Frost?
Like, I don't know, man. It's just so funny how cool Denzel is, though. Like he tells them, I don't know the terminology, but he says like you got to use 600s or something like that. Is that about
I think it's towel weight.
Yeah, it's the towel weight. They use 600s. That's only 400 or something like that.
It's the other guys use this. They use 600s, not 400s.
Oh, God.
I mean, this being so cool, who can be cool during a waterboarding? Denzel can. He's even talking to Ryan Reynolds afterwards, going like tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. So I'm like, he's even got like fun things to say. I'm like, dude, you're just waterboarded. I would have said everything they needed to know right when they poured the water.
I know. They would have had to. They'd have put me in that room. I would have been like, I'm caught. Okay.
Yeah.
This is where the bodies are buried. This is what I'm doing. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
And great villain Robert Patrick, the T-1000 from Terminator. I thought he was going to last a little longer, but right when you see him show up, I'm like, oh, he's bad. He's bad.
He's a CIA agent.
T-1000.
When he comes in that room and tells Reynolds to turn those cameras off, I'm like, man, Reynolds is us. He's basically because a character in the movies like this is like someone we're kind of seeing the story through, and Reynolds looks at him, and that's the same thing. Like uh-oh, like what are they about to do? They got this brother in here, turn the cameras off. What are they about to do? And like I said, the way Denzel's gargling that water and being waterboarded, he spits it out. He's like, and he just kind of smiles. I forget. He says something to them or smiles.
How long was that?
Yeah.
How long was that? And then the dude just looks at him. He's like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. And and then at one point, and obviously this is when he gets saved by the cat, for the bad guys that are coming from. I think they were like, get the knife or the pliers, because it's about to do something else. They're about to peel off his fingernails or take a tooth out or something that's not in Denzel's contract. You can't do that to him in a movie. That, right? Like,
no. I'm surprised they waterboarded him.
They even got that far.
Right. But it was but like I said, it's funny because I was thinking, the first thing I thought of is, if I'm Ryan Reynolds, I'm thinking I'm in so much trouble because I was sitting here bouncing a ball against a wall, acting like there was nothing to do. And clearly the safe house was not ready for this kind of situation because those guys broke in seconds.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a hard break in. It was just, we're here, we're in, and we're killing everyone inside. And he had no idea what to do. I also thought to myself, you've been there for a year and you're bouncing a ball against a wall. Bring in like a PlayStation or something if you're just going to sit there all day. What are you doing? But I wanted to talk and touch real quick on this car chase scene, which was phenomenal. How tense it felt, how close it was. That fight scene within the car as they're driving was just hard hitting and showed that these guys aren't pulling punches throughout. And I thought really set the tone that, for me, that this isn't just like an espionage movie. Because at first you didn't know, is it going to be just an espionage movie? But like now, like, oh, this is going to be an action movie. People are going to get shot up, blown up. Elbows are going to get hit in people's faces. And I like that they kind of sold the damage too throughout the movie. Like they didn't just go, like in so many movies, guys get punched in the face or whatever, and then they're just fine after that. But this one, they were like, the whole time, you just saw their faces getting more and more messed up. And Ryan Reynolds is like, you broke my trachea.
Yeah, you crushed my windpipe. I thought that was great too. Yeah, it had a grittiness to it that I wasn't expecting, where like exactly that. Like, I don't like that in movies where they fight scenes, they, there's like these crazy car crashes and they get out and then they keep running. Unscathed. Where like, I like the Ryan Reynolds. You crushed my windpipe.
No, that was a great line. And the great thing is, as I say, is Denzel. Denzel. Remember, and he's like he's like, and Denzel looks at him. And like I said, once again, that camera's moving around. Like, come on, Denzel's doing that cool look. Like, you gonna put me in there? Okay, all right. Okay. And then he gets put in there, but that ain't it. Like, he's gonna break out of it. And when he gets in there, and Ryan Reynolds has gone through all this trouble escaping the bad guys, but now he's got to deal with Tobin Frost. A great name, first of all.
Great name.
But I love how Ryan Reynolds, everyone's having to think on their feet, and Ryan Reynolds is obviously not as sharp as Denzel. Denzel's a vet in the game, but he's thinking on his feet. We're watching him, and when he's about to lose control of Tobin Frost, I think he buckles himself up and goes in there and does the break and makes Denzel just kind of crash into the windshield. And even though that's still not enough to like put Denzel out, it at least subdues him for 10 seconds for him to get out of the car and point the gun at him. And I don't know, it's just great seeing them kind of match wits with each other. It's like the old versus the new, and kind of like, and as we see later on in the film, almost like father figure to like the the up and coming son figure. It's a very fascinating relationship that arcs in this film between these guys.
Yeah, and we as we kind of move on, we also find out that Ryan Reynolds is a smart guy as well, and they sort of talk about his qualifications. But Denzel's already in his head and trying to make him think that the CIA is going to throw him under the bus when they get to the next safe house. Ryan,
don't worry, we'll take it from here, right?
Yes, don't worry, we'll take it from here. Is this, which is such a great tease in the movie, because we've heard that in every single one of these kind of movies, by the way. And even in movie world, that's usually the bad guy thing saying. Going back to like Die Hard, when the FBI comes in or whatever, that's always the thing. Do not trust this person. So I thought that was a good, almost breaking the fourth wall line.
It's kind of winking to the audience, like like an audience knows, and it works. It's kind of the red meat for these kind of films. Showing how the CIA or these kind of government agencies, they're not so squeaky clean. They got a little blood on their hands at times, and that's what kind of gives it an interesting story to follow.
Yep. So Ryan Reynolds is lying to his girlfriend, and Denzel Washington just digs into that. And Ryan starts crying like a little wuss. And I can already tell his boss was right. He wasn't ready for this kind of job. They go to another safe house because staying at the apartment for 12 hours wasn't a good idea. They go to a soccer game, and Denzel just yells that he's being kidnapped. And that seems like a very obvious way to get away from Ryan Reynolds. Now they're caught. Frost escapes the infirmary and Weston escapes the cops. And now they're both trying to escape. And after some gunfighting, Frost punks Weston and says he only kills professionals before escaping. So this was like another tons of action and things like this. But this didn't sit well with me. They're in an apartment. Denzel Washington's chained up, and they say it's going to be 12 hours. You got to go to a crowded soccer game to get a key to go to another safe house instead of just staying in this random apartment building for 12 hours, which doesn't seem like it's that long to wait.
Take a nap. Watch The Godfathers.
Yeah,
Play some Uno or something.
Like, it's not that long.
Seinfeld's on Netflix.
And to say, take this guy who's super dangerous to a soccer stadium while a game is being played already seems crazy to me. But James, we'll start with you. I want to ask you talk to you about this. They do something so great, and they've been teasing and sort of talking about it the whole time. But Tobin Frost, a master manipulator and good at tricking people and getting in their heads, which as a viewer I love, because that means anytime he talks, I'm like, can I trust him? And the CIA in movies, we're always trained, you never trust the government in movies. So there's already this, who do you trust? What's really happening here? But also with a nice blanket of everyone shooting each other, which I love. So talk about that kind of dynamic and how movies use that to keep us engaged as viewers.
No, definitely.
Who do you trust?
Yeah, no, that's a good point you bring up, Jack. And yeah, the thing is, in film, sometimes a way to kind of give exposition of a character is by how other people talk about them, right? So you don't have like someone asking him like, yes, Denzel, you are this, you are that, and da, and he's like, yes, I am. Like, that's kind of like, amateur type stuff. But like, when, in most of these movies, just like, I mean, you could even see like movies like the TV show The Blacklist with Spader, right? Yeah, exactly. But what happens is they show their picture up and on the wall, and they show all their like bona fides, and they talk about what this person is, what they're about, but it's within the context of the film. And yeah, initially when Ryan Reynolds is like distraught. He's kind of trying to figure out what's going on. He's supposed to see his girlfriend. His safe house has just been blown up. His existence is kind of, everything's all over the place. And Denzel, while he's talking to Denzel about one thing, Denzel just keeps talking to him about his woman. You know what I mean? Pulling at his heartstrings, because he can see like he's kind of he's got a lot of stuff going on, especially with his girlfriend, as he's having to lie to her. And he's been living a lie with her. And he's pulling at the heartstrings. And even when they go to the soccer game, you see Denzel's wheels turning. He's like, you're taking me here? Okay. All right. Sure. And I think that's great. And I'm skipping ahead. That great shootout scene, and once again Reynolds has to make a split decision. He kills one of the policemen, right? And
shoots him. I think he lives.
He shoots him, right? Yeah. And they're in a subway, and Denzel has a gun to him, and it looks like he's about to kill him, and he says, yeah, I only kill professionals, just kind of emasculating him in so many ways. He's losing the person he's supposed to be taking hold of, because this is also has something to do with his what's the word, his promotion, right? He's so everything, this is not an all is lost moment, but it could be. It's a precursor to an all is lost. And this Denzel's just always one step ahead, man, taking people out always. So
it is crazy to me though that he's yelling out at the soccer game, I'm an American citizen being held against my will, and he's handcuffed. Like, I just was kind of surprised that the policemen there were just like, oh yeah, Ryan Reynolds seems like the bad one. Like,
in their defense, Ryan Reynolds pulled out a gun.
He pulls his gun out.
Yeah.
So I think that's what makes him go, oh, this guy's crazy, because he's pointing a gun now at the police. But he pointed the gun at the police.
But he was yelling, I'm undercover, wasn't he? And he seemed to speak the language at least. So I felt like, I know. Just listen to what the guy's saying. That guy's handcuffed.
But I mean, I don't know. If I was working at a place and someone pointed a gun at me, I would trust them less than the other guy, I think.
Look, these are they're doing a soccer game.
They're more security guard guys.
Yeah, they're like security guards with guns, I guess, which is maybe not always the best recipe. Well, they didn't go through training. Like,
I did want to talk, Andy, and I want to mention this to you and get your thoughts on it. Is over the past couple of years, Ryan Reynolds has become sort of this guy that plays characters that nothing really gets to him, and he kind of laughs off things and jokes about things. And even in movies like Deadpool, he doesn't like getting beat up doesn't bother him as much. But in this movie, he seemed to really sell a lot of the damage that he took, both emotionally and
Yeah.
physically. Like, he was tearing up a lot.
Yeah.
The idea of having to break up with his girlfriend really bothered him. This was a different Ryan Reynolds. I don't think he gets enough credit in this role for the range of emotions and things he was doing.
Yeah, and they were really like stacking the odds against him too. Like they were just like, that's it, bring him in. That's let's get Ryan Reynolds. And I'm just like, let him do his job. He's literally like he's trying to do it. He even says at one point, he's like, I've worked here for 12 months. I know this city. I know where he's gonna be. And they were just like, nope, you don't got this. And it's just like you kind of like as James said, you're kind of like identifying with him as the audience. Like you're like, no, we need to find Denzel. We need to catch him.
Well,
Go
I was
ahead.
going to say, and James, right after this, you can kind of respond. But the moment where the train goes by and he shoots the wall next to Ryan Reynolds' ear and says, "I only kill professionals," that was kind of a double thing for us in the sense that I think it was telling us, the viewers, that this is the first time we see that Denzel kind of has a heart, and he doesn't hate Ryan Reynolds, and he's not really out against Ryan Reynolds at this point, because he probably would have just shot him. But he let him go, I think, because I think they were showing us that maybe there's a soft spot for old Matt Weston in Tobin Frost's heart.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And just to piggyback, I'm glad you brought that up, Jack. Yeah, if you look at Ryan Reynolds, like iconography, I don't know if that's the right word, but like the kind of movies he does, right? I know that's a film 101 class statement, folks. Okay. If you take film 101 in college, iconography. Ryan Reynolds is known as kind of the wisecracking, jokey guy that doesn't really, get rattled too much. And basically in this role, you're right. I didn't even think about it. He's playing against type. I don't think he's ever really played any roles like this. I never saw Definitely Maybe. I heard that's kind of a good romantic comedy. So maybe I'm sure it's a comedy. So he's probably doing a lot of wisecracking. In this movie, he plays a very vulnerable character, as you said. He's not really making many jokes in it, and he's always kind of like just trying to rebound and just constant obstacle coming in his way, vulnerable with his girlfriend and with this guy he's trying to bring in, and all his belief about the CIA is everything's being thrown on his head. He has a mentor that he's not really, he's out of the blue with a lot of information. So it was a great performance by him, actually. Now if you look at it in hindsight, very vulnerable. So yeah.
So the CIA puts together a connection between Frost and the dude that was trading intel, which was the guy from Game of Thrones. What was his name? I haven't seen
Davos.
Davos.
He's Davos in Game of Thrones.
Davos. So they put a connection between Frost and the Davos, who's trading intel, and they tell Weston to wait for it. We'll take it from here. Frost changes his appearance, and Weston tells his girlfriend he's with the CIA and that she needs to tell people they broke up a week ago and hasn't seen him since, making Tobin Frost right about one thing: he broke up with her. Weston realizes where Frost is going, and in finding out where the document forger is, he also clues in the CIA. The CIA is arguing about whether or not Weston has turned, while the forger's home gets shot up, and Weston is trying to save Frost at this point. We get another chase scene shootout, and Weston and Frost are together again, and they find out that the bad guys are being sent by Vargas, who is CIA. So there's a couple of shootouts here. There's the I don't really know what you call it, like the poor village shootout, and the another kind of car chase scene up through like an apartment building fight scene. Lots of stuff happened here, and this is where we kind of see for the first time Weston and Frost are working together. Andy, but there's a scene here where this document forger and Frost are talking, and the forger is saying, "Hey, you got more past than you have future." Kind of maybe teasing how the rest of Frost's life may look.
And that was kind of sad. I think that character is played by Ruben Blades, who's a great character actor. But I was like, oh, he's in this. Oh, I like him. And then he's dead. They just shoot up his family so quickly. That was my first tip, where that guy Vargas, I'm like, that guy sure finds Denzel pretty fast. And I thought he was just some kind of like mercenary guy. And then when you find out he's working in the CIA. You're like, oh, well, no shit. He keeps finding Denzel so
Right.
fast. But one thing I gotta say, Denzel looks so freaking young when he like
Yes.
shaves and just gets a nice fresh haircut. Like,
Well, when he
literally,
smiles at the
literally
camera,
looks
you
like he's
know.
30 running around all of a sudden. I'm like, Denzel.
What's crazy too is he looks so young, but this was one of his later movies.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it's Denzel. He's a vampire like Frost, like Deacon
He's
Frost.
Deacon Frost. Yeah.
So yeah, that was I think that was probably one of the most heartstring moment where they really added the collateral damage that happens definitely has weight because this guy's talking about how he has a family now and he's out of this this business, but his family and his wife got shot up and all this stuff. Very sad. But yeah, this is James. This is where we find out the CIA is involved, which also adds a lot of weight to all the things Frost has been saying this whole time. Who do you trust at this point in the movie?
No, of course. And I mean, and at this point, this is when Reynolds kind of comes, as you say, kind of helps save him when he's escaping Vargas and the other guys. And yeah, I mean, at this point, we know because how are they always finding out? You know, I look in hindsight, you know, when you're sometimes watching a movie initially and you're not trying to critique it, you know, maybe you don't catch on to these things, maybe you do. But yeah, it becomes pretty obvious at a certain point. Because like I said, how are they going to find these safe houses? Why are they always, you know, coming up in there? And yeah, it's so sad. As you say, Ruben Blades. Ruben Blades is another like character actor. You don't ever see him get too high or too low. He's so good even in like the small stuff he does. And what he does for us is he helps humanize Tobin Frost's character more. I mean, they're talking about wine and I guess like their old times together. And, you know, as you say, it gives you a lot of perspective when he's talking about, you know, you have more past than future or something like that. And that's just kind of something that, you know, maybe all human beings or especially men may grapple with when they get older and depending what kind of work they do for a living and stuff. It's just fascinating. You know, it's kind of existential and, you know, makes you think for a minute.
Yeah. This and so that what I loved about that happening is the action scene that happened right after it is where the action scene started getting really gritty. I mean, like they're going through houses, shooting things up, but also this is where they really start taking beatings. And when they get into that final, I guess it was an apartment where they had the final part of this scene and where Reynolds is punching that guy in the stomach and everything else. This is where Frost gets shot and he's bleeding and leaning against the wall. And this is where Reynolds starts to get really messed up looking. So I thought it was an interesting timing that we humanize Frost right before we really start putting him through the meat grinder. You know, I think that was a well played. I think that was intentional on the director's part to do it that way.
Big time.
And after that, Weston and Frost, they bond while trying to mend their injuries. And the CIA is still arguing about whether or not Weston is a traitor. And he's kind of acting like it when you think about it. But they go into a safe house with their guns cocked. And now his mentor is the traitor when he kills the girl. What? And the safe house guy starts beating him up and they stab each other with glass. And Reynolds chokes him out while Denzel watches. By the way, that moment looked like it was a very memeable moment when he's kind of just like peeking his head around the corner.
Yeah, it's kind of weird how he's sitting up looking at him. Like, you know, like he's watching a snuff film or something.
I could definitely see that being as a meme, like me when the neighbors are fighting or something. For all of his work, Frost tells Weston what the info is and that it's a list of corrupt agents from all sorts of agencies before leaving Weston for dead. Before we get into the very last part of this movie, James, let's talk about this last safe house scene and sort of how now even Ryan Reynolds isn't trusting anybody and not even the safe house guy and comes in with his guns cocked. And this is definitely a character change for him. He's evolved as the character now.
Yeah, and I was also just going to go back when they're mending their stuff. I think that's when Denzel's giving them the story. This is another humanizing moment where he talks about, you know, I think don't kill anyone, like don't kill innocent people, right? So he's giving them his code Once again, he's not like just some mindless kill. I mean, he can kill anyone. Obviously Denzel can kill anyone at any time.
And snap their neck.
Yeah, a lot of neck snapping from Denzel.
Is that easy? I don't know. It seems in movies they just go snap.
Yeah.
That's
I feel
terrifying.
Like I can imagine, like, if I'm ever in a dangerous situation, I'm gonna try it, and someone's just gonna go, my neck. What'd you do?
What did you do that for?
That's smarts. And then they're gonna shoot me.
Exactly. Well, no, in this movie, it's a lot of neck snapping or a lot of like kind of pushing each other into like a door or into a wall, like a lot of like shoulder shoving.
The stunts are insane. Like that fight with, I just called him like Diet Ryan Reynolds. Like he wasn't quite Ryan Reynolds, but he's trying to be safe house guy. But like their fight is, I don't know how you choreograph that. It's insane. I'm like, I was telling myself, I guess I was watching it by myself, but I was like, aren't these guys gonna get hurt? Like it seemed like
in real life,
very realistic. Like it was some insane punches and kicks and stabs, and I don't know.
And that's Joel Kinnaman, who's a great actor too. I first time seeing him was in The Killing. The Killing, great crime drama on AMC from years ago around that time. And then also, I think is it Captain Flag from the Suicide Squad? Yeah. So he's great. And I mean, there's so much tension. I mean, I don't know, since I've seen already, I don't know if you guys felt this watching it, but like when they're sitting down, at that table in the kitchen while Frost is handcuffed, which you're in the back, you're like, damn, you wish he wasn't handcuffed in case some shit, goes off. But
I did have some questions. Sorry. Why is there so much tension? I guess I didn't get it. When he goes, I'm gonna get some coffee, I'm like, oh, that's nice. And then all of a sudden, like, this shit goes off.
Well, the tension was there. What I thought was interesting, and I love when things make sense in these kind of movies, because Ryan Reynolds doesn't trust anyone at this point because his head's been messed with by Frost. And so he goes in there not even trusting this guy in the safe house. But the guy in the safe house, to his credit, what I was thinking is, if a guy shows up with a gun in your face the whole time, you're probably going to think to yourself, how do I get rid of this guy? Yep. So him, whether or not he was a turned agent or not, he probably would fight Reynolds if he had to in that situation.
No, probably. And I mean, at a certain point, he's like, hey, man, it's your rodeo. It's your show. And they're just kind of just going through the stuff. And I think at a certain point, he might get a text. He looks at his phone, right? Which is kind of the obvious, right? Doesn't he get like a text at some point, or he looks at his phone?
He got a text. And I think that's when Reynolds looks at the phone, and that's when the other guy jumps.
Okay, yeah. The other guy jumps. Yeah. So, I mean, it's all very fast. But I mean, so much tension, because I don't know about you, but see, I've seen Captain in other movies. He's not like a small guy. I mean, he's thin, but he's not like little. I mean, he's a tall guy, and and as soon as Reynolds turns his back to him, and as the guys are talking, and he's like, yeah, man, I wish I was you, man. I and it gives you perspective, Reynolds' perspective, because he's been complaining about the kind of safe house he has, but this dude's like really in the middle of nowhere. He's not even in like a big city, because Reynolds at least is in Paris, if I'm not mistaken.
I like the way the guy describes it too. Doesn't he say like beautiful women? I'm like, there's beautiful women going in the safe house.
I know, right?
No, but he meant because he was in Cape Town.
So I don't know why he was saying Paris.
So he's like, you're in because the girl was from Paris, and he wanted to go from Paris.
Oh, okay, that's why.
I was a little confused too, but
you got the women, you got the liquor,
the nightlife. You can go out and do stuff when you're not working. And then I remember
you got Mandela.
You can even actually see like Ryan Reynolds kind of going, "Oh man, I did have it kind of sweet."
Yeah, like here I am complaining, and this dude lives in the, he's in the middle of podunk, eating his, his frosted flakes, watching the net. So
watching the net.
Yeah, what does that mean? Watching the net.
I thought when you just said that, I thought you meant Sandra Bullock.
Like literally the net.
I was thinking that sounds like a great Sunday, Frosted Flakes and a little Sandra Bullock. The net.
Yeah, a little Sandra Bullock or Bullock or how
but he said he's been there for like 9 months. 9 months for that, you'd be like, okay.
Yeah, how many times can you watch?
It's the only DVD he has. He's like, I've been watching the net for 9 months. It's the only DVD they have in the safe house.
I know every word for word.
It shows him watching it, mouthing the words, every single thing they say.
Oh man, that's a fun movie to watch. So yes, this fight. I mean, that thing. I love the move from Reynolds when they're fighting. He sacrifices himself. It's almost like a chess move. He allows
Yeah.
the guy to stab him with the glass because he
Yeah.
can't stop it, so he can grab a glass real quick and stab him in the leg.
Very Bruce
Which is
Willis-esque.
Yeah, which is kind of weird. You mean to tell me the leg stab seems to do more damage than me getting stabbed near my,
Right.
my gut? I don't know. To me, but it's a really cool move.
My favorite part of
know.
this scene, by the way, I was watching this movie with my girlfriend, and we're watching the whole movie. And when they go through the window and they fall, she goes, "That was a big fall. They could have broken their necks." And that was like, that's the part that made you realize that these guys are getting hurt. Nothing
Yeah.
else. Everyone was like, "Oh, this is a fun action movie," and then that person, "Oh, that was dangerous."
That was dangerous. I was amazed at how short the distance was, though. When they came crash, like it was almost like a slow-mo crashing through the glass. I'm like, oh shit, they're falling like 20 feet, and then it kind of went like dunk, or like 5 inches.
Yeah, I bet if you fell out of that window, you'd feel it. You'd say,
Oh, I would have tapped right when the guy grabbed me. I was
Andy.
like, "Hey man, I was literally giving you some coffee."
If any one of us were in this movie, we wouldn't have made it past the 2-minute mark. Okay,
No.
so
No, I would
2
have left
minutes.
Frost in the room, and I would have left myself.
Yeah. I would have grabbed my Frosted Flakes, my copy of the
No.
net, and been like, "I'll see you guys."
I would no, I mean like in the very beginning when they
means the
first break the
safe
very
house.
first safe house. I would have said they would have given me the keys, and they would be like, "Watch Frost." And I'd be like, "Yeah, sure, buddy."
You're like,
and then
Yeah,
I would've
sure.
left.
Uh-huh.
Sure,
Wait,
goodbye.
Wait, is that the T1000? I'm out of here.
Yeah,
Frost is
get
like,
my
"Are you-
car.
You gonna take me with you, kid? I'm like, nope, bye.
Nope. They obviously want you. You've obviously done something wrong to piss
Yeah.
them off.
Bye, stranger.
Yeah. And
So-
poor Vera Farmiga when she gets killed by the rogue CIA guy, which you're going to talk more about now when he arrives to the safe house.
So that happened before the fight.
Yeah.
So
Of course.
But yeah,
That was surprising. I wasn't
great
expecting her to get
switch.
shot
Oh
right
my
there.
gosh.
great switch though, because again, this is one of those movies that keeps you guessing. And in fact, let's just to wrap up the movie. Weston's mentor, what was his name? I don't remember. In the
Brendan
movie,
Gleeson is his actor name, I think.
well,
Yeah,
Brendan Gleeson,
David
he's-
Barlow. That's his
David
name.
Barlow
Yeah,
nurses
name, too.
Weston back to health and is trying to convince Weston that Frost killed everyone and Weston figures out that he's corrupt and Frost comes back to make the save. Weston's mentor almost gets the upper hand, but Weston kills him. Frost takes a bullet, though, and gives Weston the list of corrupt agents under the condition that he be better than him. Later, the head of the CIA wants to lie about the report, promote Weston to senior case officer, and threatens Weston about the release of the file. All Weston says, though, is, "I'll take it from here."
Mhm.
Weston releases the report and stares creepily at his ex while Kanye takes us out.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I feel like they didn't need that part. That
Hey.
definitely reminded me of the end of The Bodyguard, where you're like, wait, why did we add this part to the movie? That just makes it weird. But this was to wrap it all up. I thought my thoughts are this felt like what Spy Game was trying to be.
Yes.
And where it was like you don't know who does what, everyone's kind of turning on each other. Who do you trust? And there was a lot of surprises along the way. So very fun. Andy, let's start with you. The movie, it wraps up. How did you like these kind of final moments?
First, great call in the Spy Game. I was thinking the same thing.
Mhm.
Man, when Denzel says to Ryan Reynolds, "You're better than me,"
Mhm.
all I kept thinking selfishly was, I so wish I was Ryan Reynolds at that part. Just to have Denzel say that to me. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I thought it was a fun movie, and the ending, I'm glad you guys agree with the girlfriend. I thought was weird. I kind of thought the girlfriend was sort of pointless throughout the movie, but I guess you needed her to get some, into the heart of Ryan Reynolds. But yeah, for him I was just wondering, I'm like, so is he going to be following her forever now? Like, I don't know. See, like, what if she's like dating a guy, she's got a family, and then like out behind the bushes, Ryan Reynolds, like, hey, just making sure you're still safe. Like, I don't know. I just thought it was odd, but I did like the way he used the line, you know, I'll take it from here, and then he does expose everybody, and it's just funny to me, like every movie with the CIA is probably very not happy with having almost every movie there's corruption and like everyone's pretty much a bad guy except for like one person. So it's just kind of funny how it goes into that trope, you know, with CIA all being, you know, in on it.
One of the coolest things that Denzel Washington does in this movie, I thought, came at the very end when he shot, I guess, like the main hitman.
Vargas.
Yeah.
Because the guy's down and Denzel Washington looks like he's gonna walk away, and then he kind of half turns and just sort of flicks the gun at him and shoots him like
like a sideways.
Yeah, like, and then just
that's the
keeps
set
walking.
piece from like the trailer. I remember that was big in the trailer. Yeah.
Like, just so like, oh yeah, I forgot to kill you. Boom.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do it as cool as possible.
Like it was an afterthought. Just the coolest thing in that moment. James,
great.
Kind of talk us through this the way this movie ended. I felt like it kept us guessing till the very end.
Yeah, it did. And when you know, it's like I've seen it before. So when the Gleason's character gets blown up from like the car on fire outside, actually no, before that, when Gleason's, you know, talking to him in a bed, I love how he's like, no, Tobin Frost killed the agent out there. He's like, no, I did. He's like, no, Tobin Frost did. You know, and I'm like, oh, this is like, because if Ryan Reynolds is really like a company man, this is his chance. Just go with it. But he knows better. He has character, and he's like, you know, once Tobin Frost and things are blowing up outside, and they're like, uh-oh, and he tells him, you're a dead man. He says that to Gleason. He says, I forgot what Gleason told him. He's like, been dead or something like that. You know, when Denzel is laying against the wall, he does that Denzel thing. It works every time. He tells him about being a better man, and then the tears come down his face, and it's real. It doesn't seem like it's, oh, now it's time to be actory cry moment. It means something, even though subtly they've been having this relationship throughout. It just, I don't know. He's just a damn fine actor. I mean, you can't give him enough like accolades or shower him with enough praise. What he can do, even if the script's not good, the kind of the performances he delivers. And there was a line from the head CIA guy, Sam Shepard, who's another great actor. I think he's a playwright. He's a very talented artist as well over the years. But he says to Ryan Reynolds' character, people don't want the truth anymore. It's too messy. Keeps them up nights, you know. And it's a great like kind of line to talk about all these kind of government agencies. And we think about like real life now with everything that goes on, like how much information we get as like citizens of our countries from like these government agencies that they literally know where the bodies are buried, or there's like things that maybe the citizens really can't, it may be too much information for them. As he says, like that information can't get released. And now we know he's implicated. And yeah, Reynolds looking there. And I love at the very end, because it brings me back to that time period. But that Kanye and Jay-Z song, No Church in a While, comes on. And if I'm not mistaken, I feel like the trailer had that song. So it's so fitting. Denzel, you think like Denzel and Jay-Z are almost like equivalents to each other when you talk about pop culture. Jay-Z, the kind of respect that he garners in the industry of hip hop and just being an entrepreneur in general. And him and Denzel, they're just kind of synonymous with like greatness in their field. So yeah, I just love that they play that song at the end.
And I think with anybody else in that Tobin Frost character, this movie isn't as good. Like I think he really he's Denzel, but I can't think of anybody that could have jumped in and like made that any better. Like he just makes movies better.
Maybe Adam Sandler, but other than that, I don't.
Maybe Adam Sandler. He's a close second.
Yeah, Adam Sandler though in that. What's that one movie? Oh man,
the
Safety Brothers. The Safety Brothers film. Oh, he's great in that.
What movie? What's that called? Yeah. We know what we're talking about.
We know, yeah. So, anyways, great movie. This is one of the reasons I like doing this show. I don't know, I probably never would have seen it had it not
Uncut
been,
Gems. Uncut Gems.
Yeah,
great film. Yeah.
This is this is what I love about the show. I never would have seen this movie if not mentioned here, and I loved it. I thought this was a really fun action kind of movie, and really, maybe it's just because the main stars, they have such a big catalog of movies they've done, but really not rated high enough amongst all their other stuff, I think, because this was really fun, really exciting to go through. It kept me guessing. Great action throughout. And it didn't overstay its welcome, which is always a big.
I can't stop thinking about like young Adam Sandler doing Denzel. Let's go to the safe house.
Yeah.
Be better than me. Anyways, Andy, let's Kevin Bacon this.
Oh man, there's a lot actually. Vera Farmiga leads us there. So does Denzel, but I'm gonna do this one at Ryan Reynolds because this made me laugh. Ryan Reynolds was in Deadpool 2. There's a character in Deadpool 2 that's called the Vanisher, and it's a very quick cameo.
Oh my God, you're right.
By Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt is in Sleepers with Kevin Bacon.
Nice.
God, so funny.
Totally forgot about that. The Vanisher.
So speaking of Brad Pitt and James making fun of Brad Pitt in the beginning of this, next week we're going to 2013 where we're going to watch World War Z starring Brad Pitt. I think it's well timed because we're getting into that Halloween season as of recording. So a good zombie movie I think will be good to watch. I saw this one in theaters, hadn't seen it since, so I'm excited to see it. Andy, what are we doing for 2014?
Well, 2014, I have to say the tagline, or no one will know what movie it is. Live, Die, Repeat. Tom Cruise and Edge of Tomorrow.
That's a good one. I'm excited for that one. Another kind of in your head kind of mind. I don't know. It's a fun movie.
It's like Groundhog Day.
So that does it for us, everyone. Make sure to continue to watch on. Next week is World War Z, so do yourself a favor, check it out and watch the movie, and then watch along with us on the show. Let us know your thoughts as well, by the way, in the comments, or hit us up on social media and let us know your thoughts in advance. Maybe we'll read your comment on the air. Speaking of social media, the way you can find us on social media, Andy, where can they find you on social media?
You can find me at Just Andy Rossi.
And James Shippey.
At JShippey2 on Twitter and at JeShippey2 on IG.
And you can find me at Real Jack Farmer across all social media. That does it for us this week. We'll see you guys next week when we chat all about World War.